crew. Undeniable, unstoppable, straight up on the move. Can't slow down, got too much to prove. Fast lane living, every second counts. Chasing dreams ain't enough, gotta stack large amounts.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. We've got a return guest, Brandon. Fuck your ad spend, Willington. What's going on?
Not too much. Everyone keeps making the same mistake and inviting me back to their podcast like they didn't learn their lesson the first
Yeah,
time.
you just attempt to get cancelled. Attempt number 2.
Number 2.
Tell everyone who you are, what you do, and we'll jump into it from
Sure.
there.
So my name's Brandon Willington. A lot of you have probably been sworn at by me in an Instagram ad the last 3 or 4 years, however long I've been running that fucking hoodie rant ad.
Or you've sent a comment that's been very nasty and mean, and
Yeah, or you thought you were safe commenting on my ads on the internet, like I'm professional and gonna respond professionally. Fucking pussy.
you keyboard warrior
Coward.
cucks.
But I also, not many people know, I also run Industry Set with my mate and co-founder Jackson. That's for electronic music producers that want to, pursue that as a full-time career. Also a struggling YouTuber as well for my little minion army of club promoters all over the world. So the way I got into marketing was being a club promoter, and so one of the best, maybe not the best, but one of the up there pieces of advice I got from someone on a retreat once was, you're the best coach the person you just were. And then so I just started posting about, like, this is how you get more heads through the door for your club event. Started posting more about that on YouTube, and then started popping off, get a lot of feedback and nice messages from kids all over the world trying to make a little side hustle as a club promoter. So that's my other thing that not too many people know, and just cracked 1,000 subscribers, so not many people know about it. But
Fucking A. That's it. Where's your plaque?
yeah,
YouTube, where is it?
Come on.
Okay, sick. So now you do a large portion of your time is spent running other people's ads, right?
Yeah, 100%. I like saying that, I I run off caffeine, nicotine, protein, gasoline, and the bitter resentment of the memories of anyone that ever wronged me. And so having me on the team is just an unfair advantage because I just run off of spite. I actually have a member in my With You community who, I won't tell the business because I'm probably going to clip this up and post it, but he's in an industry that I used to be in, and he has a competitor that I don't like, and so I was as soon as he enrolled, like his card just went through. I was like, "Is your sales rep there?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Bring him here." I go, "Put me on speakerphone." Gonna run me through a sales script. All right, okay, cool. Do this. Make it 25% more expensive, and then just change this line in your sales script. 30 minutes later, I get a text saying, "Yeah, we just got someone." And then they've 5x their business in the last 3 weeks, and it's all because I just don't like some skinny necked fucking dork that's one of their competitors. That's just wronged me once, and I don't forget.
Oh man! So the nice gym that we have downstairs. I've not told this publicly.
Yeah, I think you told me.
I think I might have told you, but 95% of what is downstairs and what I've created is out of spite from old business partners that once said we should do a private gym, and they spoke about it for years. So I just decided to do it, and I was like, well. Fucking A.
Yeah, I just run off resentment and spite. It's just
I did it and I one-upped it and suck eggs.
Yeah. I was having lunch with, I told you before, I was having lunch with my girlfriend and my parents, and I can't remember how it came up. I just talk about people that I don't like a lot at my family lunches on Sunday. And I was talking about, if anyone ever wrongs me, things really don't work out for the next couple months. I've put 2 competitors out of business now, and it was an intentional fucking thing.
Yeah, this is chess, motherfucker. What places do I need to move?
Yeah, and so I do the same thing with clients and anyone that partners with us. I'm like, no, we're not just running ads, we're eviscerating everyone and leaving nothing but scorched earth in your wake. You're gonna haunt their memories while you're blowing fucking cigar smoke in their face in the middle of the night. And that's how they're gonna wake up.
And this is the point I turn around and say, hey, Linestone's about to start running ads, and we've never done run ads before, and he's the guy I'm going to be advising of. Look the fuck out.
Everyone, there's no one else is going to be around in the fitness space. It's just the race space from now on.
Welcome to the arena. You do run a lot of people's ads. I'd love to talk about, I think, the landscape of the ads, because you do a lot of service-based stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cool. The landscape of paid advertising, where it fits into people's models and where people fuck it up.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's a big ass conversation. We'll go on a bunch of rants, but run me through the landscape of the paid advertising arena at the moment. What's it look like? What should people prepare for? And where are the points that people are most fucking it up?
A lot of people's opportunities is where a lot of the discomfort lies, which is most people just aren't as attention seeking as I am on the internet. And so there's just a natural resistance to being on camera, which they just have to get over. I could put my whole coaching hat on and say, you know, the discomfort is usually a symptom to growth. And so you need to lean into the discomfort because you're going to grow revenue as a result of it. And so whenever, like my superpower on the internet is if someone's doing a 2-step meta call funnel, which is just like there's a video from like the business owner or someone on the team on Facebook and Instagram telling them to go to a landing page. Like, I know what that ad needs to say. I know what that opt-in page needs to say. I know what the booking page video sales letter needs to say. I know what your nurture sequence has to say. I also know how all of that connects to the actual sales process. So everything from impression to transaction is just one cohesive message. One of the problems that a lot of, and we actually experienced it in the past, to be honest, one of the problems that agencies have the problem of is there's a really strong disconnect between the marketing and the sales. There's just like, yeah, we got leads in, but they're the wrong leads. And then you try and fix it, and there's just this disconnect there. Like when I think of when I've grown like Where You and Industry Set and businesses in the past, it's because I did the sales and the marketing. And so I knew if a problem popped up in the sales process, I could plug that hole, or at least prevent or mitigate it somewhere in the marketing process, which makes the sales team happier. All of your conversion rates go up. Your booking page, your show up rate, your conversion rate, your LTV, all that stuff just goes up. And so that's really kind of my superpower, is being able to have that, like I said, impression to transaction, that cohesive message there, because a lot of people will just generate leads, but they're not the right leads. Or they're getting objections, and rather than trying to overcome an objection, they just don't try preventing the objection at all somewhere in the sales process. So there's plenty of different tactical stuff I'd be happy to talk about in this podcast as well. Like, I don't fucking hide anything, or this is my little fucking secret hack thing, right?
My secret sauce.
It's just, I'm happy to discuss any of it, and can maybe make it contextually applicable to you, or a made up example. But a lot of it is, as soon as we get, to circle back to your question, sorry, a lot of it is as soon as we get the business owner or just someone on the team on a video, it just builds so much more trust.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, there's a lot of things I could talk about, so please feel free to cut me off. One of the things that people neglect is collecting testimonials and case studies. So I have a couple clients that I partner with on a one-to-one basis, where I am far more hands-on. I'm essentially an internal marketing manager for a share of all their revenue. Because my incentive is not just to keep them on the monthly retainer, but to make their revenue and their profit and loss statement just go up, just more cash in the bank profitably, right? And one of the prerequisites is they need to have a certain number of case studies and testimonials, because the first thing is like, I have to believe in their fucking product in the first place too. Like if it was like, oh, I just learned how to be a coach but I'm really good at it, I'm like, I'm not really good.
Where's your proof? Yeah,
exactly right. I like proof, not promises. And so that also helps your conversion rates, because you can use it in your ads, you can use it on your landing pages, and all your percentages just go up. I know you're a Hormozy fan, so you probably remember his analogy in, I think it's $100 million leads, about ads is like going to the casino, but you know the odds. It's just making percentages go up. Yep. And so all it is we're just fighting for a math game where we just want a bunch of percentages to just go up.
Yeah.
And collecting testimonials and case studies, and also formatting them in a very particular way also, will just make everything go up.
Yeah. You know what I feel like right now? I feel like this is the moment of, like, in Dragon Ball Z where they do the fusion hard dance. Because like all of what you've just described is how I see organic growth. Like when you understand like content structure, you understand frequency, you understand like where you're directing people in the customer journey on the front end organically, you combine that in with paid media. It's like, fuck.
Yeah,
as a business,
you've already got something that works, and now you just go to Mark the Lizard person and go, can I give you more money to just show this to more people? And he goes, you know what, I think I will take your money.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah.
You know, and you pay your CPM, whatever it is, like yours is probably going to like 15 to 20. I'm targeting business owners, so it's more like 40 to 44, 45. And you know, you pay a certain dollar to get 1,000 impressions, but if you just keep paying the dollars, you shot to the right people, as long as your CTR's in the right place, your opt-in rate's in the same place, you can just look at things and go, oh, what percentage needs to go up? Yep. And then it's just a math game. It is fighting.
Yeah, it's what lever do I pull?
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you can make decisions on facts, not just feelings. Because a statement that I'll commonly hear is, I tried ads, but it didn't work. I'm like, well, if people saw it, it worked, just not to the right degree. So it's like, what didn't work? Did you not get enough clicks? Did you not get enough opt-ins?
Or did you just suck at selling?
Exactly.
Like, fuck, man.
That's another thing as well. Did you just suck at sales?
Yeah. Would I be right in assuming, like, if you're taking in anyone as like a profit partner, you would have to have some degree of like understanding of their sales conversion already, because if they're already selling at like a bee's dick margin, like there's no point in your
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'll need to know, one, they've got a track record of sales.
Yep.
Like, if someone just tells me, yeah, I'm really, like, I've never had a single person tell me that they're a bad salesperson. The only people.
Oh, about 80%.
Yeah, about 80%.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they say.
About 80%.
I was laughing with Tim, my sales rep, because we were saying, like, we need a way to vet if they can sell or not. And
Yeah.
because the only people that ever say they're a bad salesperson is a good salesperson having a bad week.
Yeah, 100% agree.
That's literally it. Everyone else, nah, bro, just put the prospect in front of me, I'll get them. It's like,
Yeah. What's your track record? Oh, about 80%, bro.
yeah, about
Flex
80%.
it.
Yeah, and it's all on referrals. Where,
Or
like,
is it? When did you track that? Oh, that's what it.
yeah.
What do you mean track?
They close 80% on referrals where they already know the price. They got referred by an existing customer, so they're basically a checkout page, and they still didn't close 100%.
Yeah, like, what's the flex, man? Yeah, okay. So you're tracking all the, I guess, the metrics that quantify a business is worthy of your time.
Correct.
Let's if we take
At least that I have value to give. That's
yeah,
worthwhile, yeah.
fair enough. If we were to say let's take 10 steps back, because right now I know your one-on-one time is very few and far between, and it's very exclusive, not as available as people want. You're not very available, right? How do people become a tantalizing business that you would go, okay, I'd happily market for you? So what are the metrics that people need to improve upon? Because I think that'll open us up to the world of like case studies of what this shit looks like.
Oh, 100%. So a couple things. One, if you're not limited to a geographical area, so just give me a bigger pond of fish and I'll just catching more fish, right? So if you're, let's say for example, in the fitness space, like a local gym, I'm like, okay, well I can only target people in your postcode. I can stretch it to like 7 kilometers. I can't put more people in that postcode. So eventually you'll hit a limit there. Whereas industry set, it's like, do you have an internet connection, speak English and want to make electronic music? I can put an ad in that continent.
Yep.
And then the other thing as well is just having a high ticket price, right? I know we talked last time, but we had the high ticket thing. If you are expensive, so somewhere north of 2,000 Australian dollars, that's something I can make worthwhile. But if you're just selling, like fitness, I can make work in LTV, but the problem is I want you to be like cash profitable up front. So if the first transaction is just north of $2,000, really good idea. But if it's just a $100 a week membership, we're going to have to scale back your ad spend at the start because you got to be cash flow positive. It's just $100
so you can feed the machine.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Like if you're 2, 3, 4, like industry sets like 12 grand, now we can pump $600 a day, probably at a 10 to 12x return on ad spend. Like your cost per call book is probably going to be about $100. Industry sets 50, show rate 75%. If you close about 25% or even just 20%, your CPA is like every $600 to $800 you're spending on ads, someone's buying something.
Give me the non-weaponized autism version of that.
Oh, okay. If you give me like $1, I'll probably give you like $10 to $12 back if you can market basically anywhere on earth that speaks English and it's expensive.
There we go. Cool. We got there.
I like said it and I was like, I'm going to have to clip that part out. That's got to be an Instagram reel.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Non-autism version. Okay, so people need if you're talking about trying to feed the machine and make that first cost outweigh the acquisition, the way I normally would just suggest people do is have some sort of onboarding fee if you're in a service-based business that's like a recurring. Yeah. Like if you can front load $1,000 into the first transaction and that covers even the first 4 weeks, you're sweet.
Yeah, that's one way. You can also just like, if it's a weekly plan, let's say for example, $100 a week, 12-week minimum. If you pay the 12 weeks up front, they give you a 10% discount. And that also gives you we talked about this last podcast, the illusion of choice thing. So when, you present 2 different ways to pay and then just ask of the 2, what do you lean towards, A or B? And then the brain isn't thinking yes or no. It's just thinking yes or yes.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I think that's like reducing the decision fatigue where you can, making it a little bit more streamlined. So having a profitable business on the front end then is something that you look forward to. What else?
Like I said, the case studies as well. Also just
How many case studies are we talking?
It's a good question. I've never actually put a solid number on it because it's a multiple of quantity and quality. So for example, if you have 10 really good video case studies, I'll take that against 50 positive Google reviews. Right? So it's a little bit of a ratio. That part, it gets a little bit qualitative. Also just another thing as well is the size of the team. So for example, really common bottleneck is if it's a one-man team, especially if they're a founder, one of the key drivers to the attendance rate for the sales call, the discovery session or the strategy session, whatever you decide to call it, will be how much availability is there in the calendar. So if you can just find a time that you can book a sales call in, you're just more likely to book it and attend. And if it's a one-man sales team, as more bookings pop in, they're just less available, and so the show rate drops. And that's when you have to, the next logical step is building a sales team. But if they already have a sales team, I'm like, bro, give me 3 empty calendars, I'll fill them.
Yep.
So that is a huge driver as well, just this scalability.
Have you seen any like a higher return rate on like booking frequency of like structuring the calendar? Is it, do you go it in half-hour blocks, 10-minute blocks, etc.?
So basically, my mental checklist, my general rule of thumb is make the booking slightly shorter than it usually is. So if it's typically a 45-minute call, just make it 30 minutes and then add a 15-minute buffer. Obviously, open up as much availability as you can, remove all the buffers. I don't let people typically book more than 3 days out in advance. If someone books on the third day, someone has to try and call them and move them same day or next day. That's one thing. 3 days, 15 minutes booking increments, obviously as much availability as possible. And then in the first text message confirmation, so always have your SMS reminders on, just pay for Twilio. In the first text, the first line, like in the previous, add something that's along the lines of, please reply yes to confirm your attendance. If they don't reply yes, manually follow up. Another thing that really helps with your attendance rate as well is giving them, and your sales process too, is actually giving them a little bit of homework. And so I typically like doing that in the way of making them watch a 15 to 20 minute video. And typically that will be, it will help your sales process too. It will be a really logical overview of the program that they're enrolling in, so that you don't have to talk about logic on the sales call. You can just talk about feelings, because they're just going to make a decision faster. Also means you don't need to discuss it and then get the I got to think about it thing. And it will save you time in the sales process, so you can just get to making a decision. Like, do I feel right about this? Because the logic's already done in the pre-work. I'm trying to think if there's anything else useful that I do as well.
We use a lot of guilt in our pre-call homework.
Yeah.
Quantify that, like, there's a potential that the person taking this call could be taking time away from their family or getting up at like in a time that is not appropriate to them.
Yeah.
Please be mindful that like this is someone's real time, and don't be an asshole. Yeah,
that's a good one too. I might add that one. What else do we do? Yeah, just trying to, rather than just having like the yes, please respond yes, we'll get them to write little essays as well. So maybe the day before they'll have to reply with, hey, just tell me a little bit more context to what you said, just to get them to sell them on the program a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I think like that's one thing where the businesses that like I'll kind of oversee, one of the biggest portions of drop leakage in the bucket is the inquiry to booking. It's just that show rate.
Yep.
It's like having those layers of contact and those touch points are massive.
Yep.
If we go even further back, first exposure to ads, what are you looking for? Of like, what does a business need to have prepared to go, hey, this is an ad that's going to work?
Really understanding the customer avatar, because a lot of people start with a what, like what funnel are they going to use? They're going to use high level or ClickFunnels or HubSpot, whatever. But really, they don't start with the who. So I use this with like literally every business. All you do is you just draw a little stick figure, give it a name, and then underneath it, you write all the demographics, so like age, gender, location, interest. That's your targeting for your ads. But you don't talk about targeting in your ads. You draw an arrow to the right, and then you write towards motivators. An arrow to the left, you write away from motivators. And then under the towards motivators, you just ask something that they're moving towards. So I use the analogy that humans are a lot like mice. They've got little bits of cheese that they're chasing after, but if you offer them a bump of Coke, they're probably going to take that as well. And then they've also got cats that they're running away from. So you've got like pain, pleasure, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to figure out what are all the little bits of cheese and bumps of Coke that the theoretical mouse is trying to run after, right? And so let's say, for example, fitness, it's like, what do they want to move towards? It's like
confidence, insert positive feeling.
Yeah, exactly right. But then you want to unpack why for every single thing, because usually your first response will be pretty surface level. Like, I want a six pack. And then you go, why? It's like, so I look cool with my shirt off. Why? So I can take my shirt off of the beach with confidence in summer.
Yeah, then it's not even a confidence thing, it's a comparison thing.
Yeah. And then each of those, you want to write them out as statements. So it's like, I want to take my shirt off at the beach with confidence. I want hot girlfriend. I don't, and then on the other end is obviously the away from motivators, which is basically the opposite. I don't want to, feel nervous when we go to like Europe and everyone's taking their shirt off on a yacht, and I don't want to do that, right? And then each of those statements, you can just use those as a hook in your copy, which is the words in the ad, and then also the content, so like in the first 2 to 3 seconds. And then you just split test all your towards and away from motivator statements as hooks, because is it the Pareto principle?
Pareto principle, 80 and 20.
Yeah, 80-20 principle. Like, the hook, the first couple words of your video.
80% of the return will come from 20% of the work.
Yep, correct. The 20% that gets the 80% of the return is just the hook, and you don't want it to be a logical hook. You just want it to be a statement that resonates with them, and you want to be able to understand your customer in a way that nobody else does. So I always use the example of I used to be like promotions manager at Arcade nightclub, and the reason our organic socials just obliterated everyone else in Perth was I was just there every Friday and Saturday for like half a decade. I knew where they got like a kebab, I knew they're having sex in the parking lot, like I knew where they were going for prees. I just knew all these inside jokes, and so when I posted anything on the page, I didn't know how to think about it. It just landed like a joke that they would have got from one of their friends in the beer garden. Yep. And that's why the engagement was so high, because I understood that customer avatar they're towards and away from motivators so well.
Yeah, I think in fitness, if there's anyone that's doing fitness stuff, our little like, whether it be in our organic socials, whether it be in our email marketing, all of the hooks that have generated the most amount of revenue have been hyperbolized away from motivators. So really hyper exaggerated negatives.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And then, you just split test all that different stuff. So there'll be industries where and away from motivator, like fitness will be stronger, and then some will be stronger, but you just want to run all of them and just like look at the percentage which one was higher.
Yeah.
So if it's emails, like what was the open rate?
Yeah. Now, my logic to this is most people that are into fitness are coming from a position of lack. They're not in abundance. They're like, I'm not good enough. I want to be more. It's all like, they're not very happy. They're just this sad cunts.
Discomfort is just a really big scary cat behind them.
Yeah, exactly. I think like you said though, there's going to be definitely industries that are chasing the cocaine and the cheese.
Business owner.
Absolutely. Chuck some modafinil in as well. Okay, sick. So we're looking at like understanding what's going to get customers to engage. Let's if you don't mind, we dive into some granular detail of like, okay, service-based business owners watching this, they're deciding to set up their first ad sequence. What are the boxes that they need to tick to, 1, acquire clients, 2, drive a higher booking rate, and 3, stack the deck in sales?
Yep, 100%. All right, so first thing you got to actually look at is you can pick a platform. So are they already looking for you on Google, or if you really like content? This is a decision-making matrix you can go through, which is basically, are they easily targeted on Meta, yes or no? Are they already looking for you on Google, yes or no? And then you can figure out like if you can do Google or just Meta, or if you can do both. Most instances, Meta's going to work out for you. Also, but if you're just one of those people that's just like straight up, I don't want to be on fucking camera, please, for love of God, don't make me do this. Just do Google, because it's just numbers and text-based ads.
Yeah, but still, we're not here to fuck around.
Yeah,
get on camera.
Just get on camera and you'll make more money. Just do what I say.
Yep.
So, then you also need to know, if you're a one-step or a two-step funnel. So a one-step funnel is someone clicks an ad and then they just give you their contact details and then maybe some other information on a page that goes to a thank you page. So there's one step there. A two-step funnel is if on the first page there's like a lead magnet or some kind of application. That's step 1. Step 2 is to make a booking for like a discovery session or a strategy session or something like that. The way to decide if you're a one-step funnel or a two-step funnel is based on the duration of the first sales conversation. So if the first sales conversation is like 30 minutes because you're talking about someone, that's also another general rule of thumb, then you want to do a two-step funnel. So the call needs to be in their calendar and expected. You can't interrupt someone for 30 minutes and have their full attention. If you're selling to something, which is like a roller shutter doors, inanimate objects, stuff like that, the sales conversation is probably like 5 to 10 minutes. It's like, where are you? How many windows? Then you can just do a one-step funnel. You can just interrupt someone for 5 minutes, right? So typically that also aligns with like how expensive the product is. So
I was going to say if there's a high ticket associated to it, the two-step would still be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you need bookings in the calendar anyway. The other thing that's going to help all of your conversion rates is just how many Google reviews, testimonials, positive text message screenshots or positive email screenshots you have. That's just going to make all of your, like if I could look at all my most successful funnels, there's literally nothing in the funnel about the program. It's just, here's the next step and a bunch of people that said I'm a man of my word. That's all it is. Because a lot of people neglect getting Google reviews and case studies and things like that. Just fucking start doing it. When I started Industry Set, Jackson was handling the day-to-day, and I told him, I was like, one of the things that's going to make this really successful is how many case studies we have. It's going to be annoying, but you got to do this video like interview with them on Zoom and then just ask these very specific questions in this order, and then we clip it up, we turn them into ads, we put them on the landing pages, and as soon as he saw the conversion rates were going up, he was just making more money. Now it's like an entire operation that we have, and it's actually fucking annoying because I had to keep updating like 3 different landing pages every single time a testimonial or a video
just adding more
comes through. Another thing you can do, I'm getting super granular, so let me know if it's getting like too micro, but another thing you can do is if you're at the point with like industry set where we have like, I think 55 video testimonials that are all like 10 to 15 minutes long. When they go to the landing page, they have like choice paralysis of which one they want to watch. So typically they'll just watch the first one or not watch any of them at all. And so what we do is at the moment on the landing pages, it has a key quote under the video, but a better way is you edit the thumbnail for the YouTube video to have a key quote of something that they said from the video. And it's usually an objection that they had or like a false belief that they had about the program beforehand.
Yeah. I didn't think this would be able to be done, or I thought this would take too much time, or
a scam, whatever. And so as they're scrolling through all of them, they'll just watch the video that resonates with their internal monologue the most.
Yep. Yeah. I was very resistant to this for a very long time, and just to, I guess, small anecdote reinforce what Brandon's just said. For a long time, I was taking the slow goes approach with mentoring. I'm like, I just get referrals. It was the side hustle.
Yeah.
And when a time came that I could completely step back from other business ventures and go, okay, cool, this is the main focus, I need fucking social proof. Like, I actually haven't asked any of the people I've worked with for any social proof. And then I was sitting there, I was like, fuck, a bit awkward to just go, hey, can you do me a thing? I don't want to be a wanker about it. Yeah. So I just like, all right, well, I'm just going to do awards. Yeah. I did brackets, 250, 500 a mil. Yeah. Ordered all these plaques, and now it's like the testimonial comes like, hey, you've got an award, and they're like, oh my God. Yeah. And I film those things, and that shit alone is just like quintupled business week in, week out.
Yeah, 100%. It does so much heavy lifting. It's the only thing better than saying I'm the best is someone else saying you're the best.
Fucking oath. Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've got the landing page, we're figuring out whether a 2-step funnel, we've got the social proof. What next?
Video sales letter for sure. So the video sales letter will do.
I want to pause you there for 1 second. Mm-hmm. I know there's going to be one person that listens to this. Dylan Monks, fucking listen. Because he's asked me about this. Fucking listen. Go.
So there's a couple video sales letter, and from now on I'll just call it VSL for short. There's a couple different video sales letter scripts you can do. Now, I've been running a split test recently. So far, the sample size of data isn't statistically significant, but what I used to do was, let's say, for example, you opt in for a lead magnet. What I used to do was send them the lead magnet 10 minutes later to watch and send them straight to the booking. So I'm currently split testing that against a booking page VSL and then just whatever training video you requested. It's relatively even, but sometimes the training video is doing a little bit better. However, the booking page VSL is generally, so if you're a lead magnet, what you want to do is you keep it like 67 minutes. A lot of people make really long 40-minute to like an hour video sales letters, but you have to consider that everyone has TikTok brain now. So just because you got them off of TikTok doesn't mean they don't still have TikTok brain. So just give the goldfish what they want. Yep. So it's probably going to be like 4 to 7 minutes tops. And essentially what you need to do is, despite the last step saying that the lead magnet will get them the result, you need to make it logically clear that the lead magnet is like, it's obviously pre-recorded for anyone that watches it, and they're a special snowflake, and you can't fix special snowflakes with generic pre-recorded videos. And so the analogy that I use to justify the sales call is it's a bit like going to the doctors, right? So if you went to the doctor and you just sat down and you went, oh, my stomach is sore. He goes, oh yeah, that's been going around, take 7 of these and cold mac next week. It's like, how confident would you be in that doctor's diagnosis? And in that doctor's diagnosis and prescription, you'd be like, oh, fuck, he barely asked me anything. And so we say it's a bit like going to a doctor's. You know, you've got to sit down, my stomach hurts. How long has it been like this? What have you tried in the past? Blah, 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 blah. Because prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. And that's the analogy that I use in the video sales letter. So they go, oh yeah, like this lead magnet, it's useful and it's valuable, but to get a more accurate diagnosis and the correct prescription, we're just going to need to have this conversation, right? Another thing that's really useful as well is, because 2-step funnels have been around for ages and everyone knows that it's a sales goal, is actually just acknowledging, like Tim added one thing to his sales scripts, I think a couple of months ago, that literally just doubled his conversion rate. He didn't change anything else. All he added was just, don't know if you could tell from the ads, but there's no pushy sales tactics here. We're super conversational.
Yep.
That was it. Yep. And then people's like shoulders would slump, and then that has built more rapport. And so putting that into the video sales letter as well, and saying, you know, a lot like if you go to the doctor and you have a specialist need, we're going to refer you to a specialist if we're just not the right people to keep you happiest. And so if that's the case, we'll just be really upfront about that. Yep. And so that video sales letter should convert. It depends if you're doing a lead magnet or application. Ideally, you want to be like a 10% booking rate. I've gone as high as 33%. Oh, another thing as well. So on the thank you page, you put a video sales letter as well. That will actually improve your attendance rates because you want to put like a 60 to 90-second video sales letter on the thank you page, which basically says, you know, it's emails. Here's the communication to expect from us. We require replies to this and this. Here's how to get ready. Like no calls at the fucking airport, no calls while you're driving, and then scroll below to look at some of the testimonials and case studies as well. They watch it, but you also email it to them so they're not going into the call wondering if it works or not. They've already gotten over that false belief in their head by just watching testimonials before. And so all of that stuff combined will bump up your booking conversion rate and also your show rate as well.
Fun little, I guess, split test we run. I'll give you the cliff notes of it. We were running split tests of a thank you page VSL. One being professionally like high production. Second being like super low quality webcam. Super low quality webcam worked every time. Like it has a way better conversion. And like looking at the videos, it's ultimately the same script, but it's really just reduces that sales fear of like, hey, I'm a normal person. Like we're just going to have a conversation. And ultimately in that lower quality thing, like one of the big things that we make very, very clear is like, cool, leave your credit card at home. We don't sell on this first call. What we're here to figure out is whether we can help you, and if we can, we'll go through the process of what that looks like. If we can't, we'll send you to who's going to be best for you. But that lower quality, lower production closes that gap, at least from what I've kind of figured out. Closes the gap of them thinking you're fucking God Almighty versus hey, I'm a person. Don't waste my fucking time.
No, I like that as well. You actually just reminded me of another thing that will bump your conversion rates. I stumbled across this one. It was just a fucking accident. You know what it is, the background thing. So I ran a split test for industry set and I forgot about it. And then the new variation was just like double the conversion rate of the old one. And I kept looking at the variations like, what the fuck did I change? Because usually I change like the VSL or the headline. And it took me like 2 or 3 minutes to notice. I changed the background image. And the new background image was me and Jackson just had the birthday for industry set. And we just had a photo of us talking to like, there was 12 people in the room. You can see 7 of them on camera. And we just changed the background image to that from a stock image of just the producer in his bedroom and just double the conversion rate. And so I have an online coach that I do the ads for as well. And Tommy, he was just down the road from our office. And we had the birthday, I think the 3rd or 4th birthday for my company, and he's just a block away. And so I knew I had like 30 of my friends in the room, and I said, come to the office for a second. And then he just got the whiteboard. I got all the seats. I just told my friends, sit down. One of you raise your hand like you have a question. I was going to point to the whiteboard. We just took a photo. I'm like, cool, that's the background image.
Conversion rate
just went up. And then
it's showing your authority. It's like, okay, there's simple things of social proof. There's a million ways to do it. It's fucking sick.
Social proof as well. There's another, sorry, I'm just like dumping all the ideas that
go nuts.
There's another one you can do. So this doubled the conversion rate on the opt-in page for a solar company, but it's worked pretty consistently across every single fucking industry. So if you have lots of Google reviews, positive ones, download Loom. If you don't have it, the free version will let you record up to 5 minutes. And then just open your Google reviews and just scroll through them and go, this is Sandy. She had this problem with me and then we did this for her. And now she had this to say about us, and just highlight a key quote from their thing. Scroll to the next one and then just do the same thing and just repeat that. And then just end with something along the lines of, if you want to have this kind of experience in XYZ industry, click below to complete the survey, book the application, book the call, whatever. And then if you're just like really bad at writing VSL scripts or anything like that, that's just a really easy one, because again, there's nothing better than saying like, the only thing better than saying I'm the best is everyone else saying they're the best. And so that bumped the conversion rate for a solar company from 5% to 10%, which if you do the math, just cut their
double
CPA,
profit.
Just cut their CPA in half. So double the business, same ad spend.
And that's the thing as well. I think like you need to chase centimeters, not miles in marketing. It's like, those little 1%ers are the things that will actually stack the deck.
100%. Like if you just get like I always make the point with anyone in our with you program, like if you just go from a average CTR, so click-through rate on Meta is like north of 1% you're good, south of 1% probably something going wrong people, wrong messaging. And so if you just go from 1% to 2%, it seems, or at least sounds like a small increase because you're thinking 1%, but it's an increase of 100%. So everything downstream just cuts in half. And all you're doing is just fighting for these little percentages, and like 0.1% could add like $250,000 over this like lifespan of a year, depending how much you're spending.
I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but I used to own a apparel company, and we had figured out that like, okay, per pallet we could fit X amount of boxes. We changed our box dimension by like 2 centimeters this way and this way. We could fit an extra 2 boxes per pallet. which means the cost of the delivery, like air freight,
Yeah.
like reduced per unit, which increased our profits on the
Yeah.
bottom line by, I can't remember the percentage, but considerably.
Yeah.
And like, we're talking like, okay, a reduced percentage of, let's say it was 3% of cost. When you turn that into margin,
Yes, straight to the bottom line.
it's fucking huge.
Yeah, it's all just tiny little percentages you're fighting for.
Yeah, I think that's business 101. Just find that
Just
fucking
trying
just
to delete shit.
yeah, find all the things.
Mm.
Okay, so we've got that booking page, sweet. What comes through next? How are we trying to stack the deck to try and create a high booking rate?
High booking rate. A lot of it's just going to come down to availability, having like a really clear agenda for the call, having an exciting thing, giving them a little bit of homework before. But yeah, all that stuff stacked up. As long as you got a good offer and it makes sense to book the call, it should stack the deck in your favor.
All right, sweet. What about when it gets to actually doing the call? Like, are you a proponent of like trying to automate some of the process that like maybe reduces some of that sales fear or
Yeah, like, so the next thing we talked about, like your nurture sequences for your show up, right? So obviously you have your text message confirmations and reminders, getting them to reply yes. The thing that most business owners struggle with for sales, it's super common, it happens all the time, is the business owner knows technically the most about the solution. And if you talk about that, you're not going to get them.
Yep. Your job is not to fucking coach, it's to sell.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as soon as you go into like the technical features, now they don't understand it, and you get a question like, I've got to think about it, and then you ask what they had to think about, and they can't articulate what they had to think about because they just don't know. I'll give you a perfect example, actually. You'll like this and find it funny to drive my point home. So up until like start of last year, I did all the sales calls for Where You, and I closed well, and then my mate Tim started working with me, and I told Tim before he started, you actually have an advantage over me because consulting isn't an option for you because he had no experience in digital advertising. His only option was to be a therapist. People can really easily understand how they feel and how they'd rather feel instead. But as soon as I start talking about CTR and CPM, remember all that math I did before? Give me the non-autistic version. It's like the teacher from, what is it, Charlie Brown, where it's like,
Yep.
And so Tim, in his first week, beat me. And then his second week, he was in a bunch of team meetings and started picking shit up, started learning a little bit. And then he dropped off his second week. And I looked at his call recordings and went, you started trying to sound smart. And then I said, stop consulting. You're a therapist, not a consultant. And then he went back up again. I'll give you another perfect example, actually. We talked about this in the last podcast. So when I had that DJ, I used to have a DJ school. You'd learn to DJ clubs, international club during the day. Wasn't being used. I had like 5 locations in 3 cities. I had a semester where I was closing 100%. Everyone. You weren't safe. You hopped on a phone call with me in like 12 and a half minutes. You're telling me your credit card details for a $2,000 program. No one was safe. And it's because the other thing as well was I had so much conviction just because our students literally just crushed it. But I didn't know what was in the syllabus. I didn't write it. So if you ask me what's in week 1, I don't know. Maybe you learn to count to 4 times and press play at the right time.
Doesn't matter though.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is what clubs you want to play at, name 3 of them, how will you feel, and then you're towards motivators and you're away from motivators. And so the entire sales process is just, the next thing I was going to talk about, the entire sales process can just be boiled down to, so remember that customer towards and away from motivator sequence that I said before, and you write them as statements. All you're trying to do in the sales process is just get them to say as many of those statements as you can. It's a customer avatar. It's not a fucking prospect avatar, right? And so if they just say as many of those as you can, that's the identity of someone that would be an ideal customer. And then they had to verbalize it, not just to you, but to themselves as well.
Yeah, it sounds like all of what you've just described what we do.
Yep.
Cool. Do you want to talk about how that works?
Yep, that's exactly it. And then you just give them a yes or a yes answer. It could be this program or that program, this payment plan or this payment plan.
Like it. Let's reverse it back because I think one of the things that I think all of that granular detail, it's like that's a step-by-step process on how to build a fuck you funnel, right? I think where most business owners get really overwhelmed is one, taking their first glance at the Meta dashboard, ads manager, and then coming down to the conversation of like, okay, cool, I know I need to run ads. How many is too many? What is an ad spend that is actually appropriate in a testing period? And like, what should they prepare themselves for? If we're talking bare bones, we're not talking like I have unlimited ad spend and capacity and capital.
Yep.
I'm just getting started.
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple parts to that. So the first thing you were talking about was what metrics do I look at, right? What percentages? Because when you log into Ads Manager, it can be very overwhelming. You've got reach, impressions, frequency, CTR, all like 3-second views. There's all this shit there, right? the main thing that matters, there's a couple percentages that you just need to know. So if I talk to a client, like I'm talking to a client, like there's just a couple of percentages that matter. The first one is CTR. So of the people that saw your ad, what percentage of them clicked it? If that goes up, good.
Happy.
More people went into your landing page. The next one is your opt-in rate. So if you're a two-step funnel, there's opt-in rate and then booking rate. So opt-in rate is how many people hit your first page and gave you their contact details. Higher percentage, good. Booking rate is, okay, they opted in on page 1, now they're at page 2 and they need to make a booking. That's called the booking rate. That goes up, good. Then there's show rate. So show rate is, of the people that booked, how many people rocked up to their call? More people rock up to the call. Good.
Happy days.
Now, if more people rock up to the call, the last thing is close rate. So of the people that showed, what percentage of them turned it into a transaction? Obviously, more good.
More money, more good.
More good. More money, more good. And then it becomes a question of, it's no longer a question of my marketing doesn't work. Like if it's not profitable, it's which number needs to go up. So for example, let's say your ad's really good, but your opt-in rate is really, really poor. Let's say it's like, I don't know, fucking 2% will be terrible. All right, well, ad's really good. The problem is on this page. So we need to add more testimonials. We need to lower resistance. We need to, add a better VSL, something like that, so that
Fix
this
the offer
can just go up. And you can calculate all of this stuff in a Google sheet, by the way, because I know this all sounds really abstract. It's literally just math. I've got a fucking Google sheet. It will be very difficult for me to explain verbally. And then your booking rate is like, okay, maybe there's lots of opt-ins, but no one's booking. And so then it might be, okay, well, there are enough testimonials there. Do I have enough availability in my calendar? Especially if you're a one-man team, you're probably as busy as like easiest way to just not sell anything is not letting anyone talk to you, right? And then the show rate, like, are you letting them book like a month out and they're just forgetting about it? Do you not have enough reminders? Like, just make more people show up to the call. And then close rate is basically, are you going through the process? And the most common thing is, like I was saying, the business owner will just start consulting too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where often just getting a sales rep straight off the bat, especially if they're experienced, will just like, it's like the easiest hire to just make more money.
Yeah, sure. You pay the commission, but you still look at the LTV. It's like fucking stacks.
And there's just like more empty space in their calendar. Like as soon as I got Tim in, I'm like, oh great, an empty Google Calendar. People are going to book more calls in. Yeah. So that's the numbers question. The next question that you had was around how much to spend.
Yeah. What's a viable testing?
Oh man, there's so many ways I can answer this, and all of the fucking nerd media buyers are gonna want me to give the answers, like enough to have 50 conversion events and exit the learning phase. Nerd. I'm more of a Giga Chad media buyer, right? So just spend like $30 to $50 a day. At the end of the day, if enough people see the ad, enough people click it, you'll start getting data in. The thing to consider is, I was actually talking about this with one of our With You members before, where she was like, I'm getting bookings, man, like this is awesome. Like my cost per call booking is, I think it was like $80, right? Which is really good for her space. If she closes like 20%, she still gets a 7x return on ad spend with this model, right? And that's just off of the first transaction, not lifetime value. And she goes, I feel like it's slow though. And I go, yeah, because you're only spending $30 a day. So 80 divided by 30 let's round it to 3. So you should get a booking every 3 days. Does that sound about right? She goes, oh yeah. So what do? I'm like, just leave it on. If you want, you can spend more. And let's say you spend $80 a day, then
you'll just increase the velocity.
You'll get a booking a day, and you just increase the velocity. Just put more energy into the system, right? So if someone's just like dipping their toe in the water, just start with like $30 to $50 a day. And once you've got some numbers on the board, like let's say, it costs $500 to get a client, but that client's worth $5,000, then okay, just do how many deals do I want in a month and just multiply that by 500. It gets trickier because you've got like to consider the audience size and how many ads that you do. So another number you can look at is called frequency. So that's basically how many times has the average person seen this ad that has seen it. If it gets close to 2, to start making more ads.
Yeah, okay.
That's a
because then it's like,
rule of thumb.
because then they're like, if they've already revisited that a couple times and they haven't made a decision, they're probably not going to.
100%, yeah. But again, all the media buying dorks are gonna be like, yeah, you need to give them more long. Shut up, Giga Chad media buying. That's what we're doing all day long.
Yeah, fuck off, cucks. Yeah, okay. So with that dipping the toe in, are we going an ad spend that's like spread across multiple ads, one ad as a starting point? Like I know you said that like if the frequency pushes up over 2, create more ads, but where's your start point? Yeah,
at least start with at least 2 ads. The reason is just so you can compare ads, because what we're always doing is constantly testing and measuring and optimizing, right? So if you only run one ad, it will work, but you won't know how well it will how well it works compared to something else that you didn't make. So at least if you run 2 ads, one might get a CTR of 0.6%, which is bad, but one might get one for 1.1. So go, okay, what did I do on the 1.1% CTR ad? I'll do that again and turn off the 0.6 one and go, I'm at 1.2 now. What did I do differently in that one? And then you're just constantly testing and measuring things against each other. Yeah. And you're just testing things against each other. And then also like the cost per lead as well. And so, yeah, you're just constantly comparing things and going, this one's doing really well, just do more of that. So, for example, like my one was just like the hoodie rant ad. It's like, all right, my CTR goes up if I'm grumpy and swearing at the person on the other end of the camera.
Yeah, because it's pattern interrupt. It's like in your industry, it's like no one's real.
Exactly.
It makes so much sense.
And then calling out like all the typical stuff agencies do, like we're limiting this strategy session to 10 people per month. I'm like, okay, so you want me to believe that you're just like limiting?
You're going to say no to money?
Liar.
Bullshit.
You got a fucking sales team, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the first businesses that I like formally mentored, I recognized very, very early on that like, okay, cool. You've got some decent social following and social awareness here. We're going to pretend you have a waiting list because it just drove so much FOMO with their audience. But waiting list, anyone that applied to the waiting list got a call. Hey, you want a fucking spot?
Yeah.
Like it's like, no one's saying no to money.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
Exactly.
You mentioned there, I think that's something that's worth noting, that like $30 to $50, but you're going to Frankenstein this. The testing cycle is not going to be a 30-day thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of business owners that will sit there and say, ads didn't work. They tried for a month and didn't get the conversion they'd hoped for, and then they turned them off. What would you say is an appropriate time to set expectations of like, don't expect fucking mountains and rainbows and golds of piles of money within X amount of time?
A lot of people get it wrong and they think it is an amount of time that they should wait until they make a decision. It's actually how much money you spend. So for example, you'll learn faster spending $100 a day than you will at $10 a day. You'll learn 10 times faster.
Fucking oath, yeah.
And so it should really be how much money have you spent. The general rule of thumb that I have is if you get up to your CPA and you're not seeing the results that you want, you should go back and try and rejig something. So CPA stands for cost per acquisition. So how many dollars do you need to spend to get a deal? So let's say, for example, you're comfortable paying up to $500 to make $5,000.
Fuck comfort if you get up to what your LTV is.
Yeah,
LTGP, sorry.
LTGP.
Low lifetime gross profit.
Yes. So yeah, it's a number of different things. So, you know, lifetime gross profit.
Because if you do it off feeling, it's like if you're just a pussy and don't want to spend money, you're going to get that feeling real quick. Exactly.
And so, because a lot of people will spend like $100 and like not get a deal. I'm like, dude, if you spend $100 and got a deal and your thing's worth $10,000, that's the most ridiculous.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Like if you can run it off lifetime gross profit and you can calculate that to the fucking dollar.
Yeah.
If any of the businesses that I've kind of fucked with ads on, if they get to an 80% of LTGP, then it's a reassess. Yeah.
The exciting part gets when you've got some data and you can just
That's what I mean. Like you need data first.
Yeah, you can just like let it rip. So for example, like we had industry set ads off last week while we were training 3 new sales reps, but I wanted them to get their like first 10 sales calls out of the way really, really quickly. So I had a campaign ready to spend like $650 a day, which people that are new might seem like a lot. We've done campaigns for like music festivals that spend like $17,000 in a week or something like that.
Yeah. It's all scalable though.
Yeah, 100%. And so we had a campaign on called, what did I call it? Doomsday Master Campaign to end all campaigns. But it was just like, I already had my best performing ads. I knew my winning audience. I was just waiting for their calendars to be ready and get the hit on.
Yeah.
And then
just combine them all, transformer.
Then they're all just booked out just fucking immediately.
Yeah. I've been saying to my team for a while, because we've been doing a little bit of like, call it operational rejigging. Like just being like touch and base every 3-4 days. Like, hey, are we good? Are we ready to, can we go? Can we?
Yeah.
Cause like, even from an organic perspective, when we fucking run, when we like, it just
cranks.
The peak just cranks. Like, and so it's just touch and base. Like, hey, are we good? We good? And like, there's been a conversation had with Pat, and we've called it Operation Frog Face because one of our competitors has a frog face. So it's just like, when are we pulling the trigger on Operation Frog Face? And it's like, it's just like, yep. Getting closer, and then it's just touch and base with everyone, and as soon as that's there, it's like
you get to hit on.
Yeah.
Feels like that. Did you ever use MailChimp?
Yep.
Yeah, you know that button with the shaky. You ready?
Yeah, you're just like yes.
Yeah, you get to hit on.
Fuck, man. I think we could talk fucking marketing for a long time, but
100%.
Conscious of your time and how valuable it is, can you give everyone a little bit of a let's go bird's eye view? 3 things not to fuck up with marketing and 3 things to focus on.
3 things not to fuck up, 3 things to focus on. So many things. I think firstly, overthinking it too much. If more people see the ad, more people know about your business, more people will make inquiries. Just make that number go up. The other thing as well, so that's the first thing, going off of feelings far too much. One of the things that I learnt, I think I might have mentioned it on the last podcast, is if the problem is a person, the feeling's probably in your gut. If the problem's in the bank account, you can probably fix it in a spreadsheet. And so just looking at all the data and making decisions off of that. Another thing is you probably suck way more at sales than you think you do. So a lot of the people that come and work with me, they were just used to selling to referrals. They weren't used to selling to a stranger that saw an Instagram ad from them yesterday. And now they're on Zoom in front of them today. That's another thing. You're probably not as good at sales as you think that you are, and you just need to be humble and try and learn and get better. That requires repetitions as well. What was the second part of that question? Sorry.
3 things to focus on.
3 things to focus on: making percentages go up, getting good at presenting on camera, at least comfortable presenting on camera, and getting good at sales. That is it.
Where can people find you? How can they get involved with where you, and if they need help, can you help them?
Yeah, sure. Best way to reach out is just go to our website. You can book a traffic discovery session. Like I said, if you couldn't tell from our ads, we're super laid back. If we're not a good fit, we'll be totally upfront about that. But if it makes sense for me to be your unfair advantage against your biggest competitor so I can coward punch them in the internet street, we can talk about that. But we've also got like the Instagram which is whereyou.com.au. It's just spelled like a drunk text message because that's basically what I was when I named the company.
Nothing else to say. Fucking do the things. Comment, like, subscribe. See you later. Bye.